Hi guys, Phil here from Evolve. Today I'm going to show you some tips on how to use handy blocks to create your next DIY project. Handy block is an instant foundation system. No holes to dig, no concrete to mix and pour. Basically you place it on the ground and it's ready to accept any timber profile you wish to use for your project. Handy block's made out of evo-crete, which is an ultra lightweight concrete with fibre reinforcing for added strength and durability. Next I'll cover the basics on how to use it. Handy block has been designed for installation on compact earth, such as the soil you'll find in a typical backyard. For any installation on a grassed area, I recommend cutting away the grass so that your handy block is sitting directly on the soil beneath. You don't have to level handy block in any particular way, as long as it's leveled by eye, that's sufficient. One thing I do recommend though, is putting the handy block down firmly and giving it a bit of a wriggle to make sure it's got a firm support. Okay, so on to leveling. Here we're working with an existing flat surface, or somewhat flat. You'll notice that there's a small crest in the middle. So what I've done is I've cut away the grass, as mentioned in the positioning section of the video, and dug the blocks in the middle down so we reach a level across the final structure. Easiest way to do it, one point to the far end, achieve a level, and then fill in the gaps block by block as you go. Okay, so in its standard form, the handy block pocket will take a 42mm wide joist or bearer and a 90mm by 90mm post. What we're going to do here is in our project, we're going to use a 45mm wide bearer. So I'm going to show you how to cut the handy block pocket to suit. So here we've got a standard timber handsaw. Due to the aerated nature of evo-crete, it cuts quite easily, as you'll see. So all I'm going to do, choose a section about 5mm in. Okay, so I've taken a slither down, just notch it in the bottom of the pocket, and we'll snap those out. And there we go, that'll fit our bearer nice and snugly, and we're good to go. Okay, so now on to positioning. When it comes to positioning of handy blocks, remember these two simple rules. First one, keep a maximum of 1.5 metres between the centre of handy blocks supporting the same joist or bearer, and keep overhangs past the handy block to a maximum of 300mm. Now remember, when we're talking about distances, we're talking about the centre of the support. So centre of handy block to centre of handy block, or centre of handy block to the end of the overhang. Okay, so we've already spoken about the positioning of handy blocks along one joist or bearer. But what we're going to cover here is how far apart do we space the joists or bearers, adjacent joists or bearers, sorry. First of all, I'll start off by saying that this is a demo structure. I haven't cut away the grass, it's not a level surface area. All I'm going to demonstrate now is how we achieve the required distancing between parallel joists or bearers. So here we've got a low level structure with joists. The goal here is that we're going to have deck boards straight on top of these joists. I've spaced these at 450mm centres. So the centre of handy block to centre of handy block is 450mm because that's what the decking can span. Very important to recognise that handy blocks do not dictate spacing. It all comes down to what the support, the top layer is going to be. So here we've got joists, then decking boards, they can span 450mm, so we're going to space the joist at 450mm. The next option we're going to look at is a subframe of bearers with joists on top. Consequently, that's going to cut down the amount of handy blocks we're going to use, but it will increase the height of the overall structure by 90mm, which is the height of the additional joist we're going to add. Okay, so the second option we're talking about. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but here we're working off the principle of a 3m by 3m deck. So we've got our handy blocks along the joist or bearer at 1.5m centres. I've now removed these intermittent rows of handy blocks because we're going to be working off a subframe of bearers to support our joists. So all I do, we're taking the extra handy blocks away, then grab our joist, and place it across the bearers, and now again we would space these at 450mm centres because we're using the exact same decking material. So I'd have 7 joists across the top of these bearers. Okay, so as mentioned, in the majority of cases you don't need a tie-down method. Exceptions to this rule, however, include structures with a pergola or roof, or structures that are built in certain wind load categories, so cyclone areas in tropical Queensland. In these cases, it's best to consult your local council and specific building regulations in that area to make sure you get the thumbs up once the project is complete. So the two options I'm going to cover off here are concrete corners or the earth anchor system. The first one, concrete corners, is quite basic. It involves putting a post in each corner, and you will have to dig holes and concrete those corners in, but overall on the complete project it won't be as many holes and as much concrete mixing as you would have to do if the entire structure was concreted into the ground. The second option is one that I quite like a lot. It's called the earth anchor system. It works on the same principle as a spearhead, in that you'll have a drive rod which is inserted into the base of this earth anchor. It is then driven into the ground by hand with a mallet, and then you'll be left with a portion of cable coming out of the ground, and you'll then brace this against your structure with a bolt. Variety of sizes available. It's best to consult the earth anchor manufacturer about these products, but basically they are used in high wind areas and can be used to obtain a cyclone rated structure. Okay, so a common question we get is, how do I conceal the handi blocks once the project is complete? The solution is really quite simple. As you can see, what we've done here is extended the original joist, so I can have a surrounding joist going around the entire project, to which we'll attach a fascia board. This will completely conceal handi blocks from sight. Okay, the final thing I want to cover off before we get onto the main build of this segment is council regulations, and it is another common question we field. The important thing to remember about council regulations is that they do vary from council to council, so there are no golden rules. A couple of typical things we see are that smaller structures don't require council approval, but having said that, it is always a wise decision to check with your local council to make sure the structure you're planning on building will get the thumbs up once complete. Okay, so here I'm going to show you how to use handi blocks on a heavily sloping area. The basics are the same that we've already covered, however in this scenario we're going to use 90mm posts to elevate our structure up off the ground. Okay, so the first step is to position your handi blocks and work out your spacing requirements as covered in the positioning and spacing section of this video. As you can see here, I've positioned all the handi blocks, I've cut away the grass so they're sitting firmly on the soil below, and worked out our square. Okay, so what I've done here is I've worked out the level of the blocks along the top row. You'll also notice that I've got 7 blocks along the top and then 3 and 3. What I'm doing here is I'm going to incorporate both styles of spacing that we cover in the positioning and spacing section of this video. So the joists are going to be running off these top blocks, meaning the top section is going to be a low level structure, and then running down to a frame of bearers at the lower levels. Okay, so as you can see here, we've now incorporated posts into our structure to achieve a level across our bearers. Very easy to do. What we've done is we've elevated the joist or bearer, measured down from that level to the top of the handi block pocket, and cut a post to length. Important point to note is that this is a structure for demonstration purposes only. So I've simply screwed all these pieces of timber together, but you use any standard timber fastening method that you use in any other structure. You'll use a bracket or a section of timber to shore up the project as you would with any other structure, and also use joist hangers or any other brackets to fasten timber to timber. So although you're using the easiest system out there in terms of foundations, still use the standard sort of fastening methods you'd use anywhere else. Okay, so here we're building a 3 metre by 3 metre deck. What I've done is I've added this midway support structure at the prescribed 1.5 metre interval. You'll also note that each one of these posts is actually a different length. That's just to achieve the level, and rather than digging the blocks down or messing around with the levels in that regard, we just cut the post to length from the top of the handi block pocket up to the bearer it's going to be supporting. Okay guys, so there we have it, the completed structure. All we have to do now is put the decking boards across the top and we're done. So you can see that in a very few simple steps, using handi blocks as a foundation, we've completed an elevated deck in hours, not days. For more information, including where to get handi blocks, visit evolvegrp.com.